It's raining hard out there. So, okay. Um, Hello, people of YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. Uh, Somebody was asking me about. Sorry to close this bottle before I forget, and then it'll tip over, all kinds of drama. Somebody was asking me recently about psychic development and how to open up psychically, how to. Well, I'm sitting right next to this window, and I really hope that people can hear me. Anyway, yeah. So, there's not really an easy answer for that, except for, like, I can only tell you what I did, right? I've been working as a professional psychic for 30 some odd years, something like that. Probably since 1993. And it's not something that I was planning on doing. I was working, I went to school for AutoCAD, and I was working in a map department, and I was thinking that I was going to go into architecture, and none of that happened. So for me, this is my path in what it is that I'm doing. So there's that. Being psychic is something that does run on both sides of my family, and like I said, I was just trying to make money, and in a lot of ways, kind of, scrimping, saving, kind of feeling miserably, mainly because I wasn't on my path, and job to job to job. And when I finally got doing this, it's the only thing that is like stayed. First of all, because I'm good at it. Second of all, I do have repeat clients, and it's just something that Spirit wants me to do, and so this is what I do. So how did it happen? How did it start? Whatever, right? All that. So, like I said, I wasn't planning on doing this, but I had a friend that I was hanging out with, and I don't know if I told him anything about my family being psychic or anything like that. But he asked me to go to a psychic development group with him. Right? So I started doing that. So if there is a group that you can go to, then that's fine. I think that it can work better, to develop your psychic ability. I do think that it can work better, faster, whatever, if you are involved in a group. Because then you have other people that you're working with, that you are sort of, for lack of a better expression, training with. But my understanding is that being psychic is like a muscle. So the more you use it, the better it becomes, right? The only difference between myself and somebody who is not doing it as their profession is that my skills are more honed because I have been doing it for as long as I've been doing it, but also um, for the amount of time that I do it, right? Because, I was working at a place, and so I was having clients all the time, and, um, you know, so, working 3, 4 days a week and having maybe, sometimes depends upon the day. There's no, like they said, there's no rhyme or reason as to how people are coming in, why they're coming in, et cetera, et cetera. So, sometimes it can be nobody coming in, sometimes it can be 5 or 6 people, sometimes it can be like 10 or 11 people coming in. So, and then in October, if you're working, like I used to work in Salem, Massachusetts, considered Witch City, and so if you're working in a place like that, then you can be doing 25, 30 readings a day, right? And then, depending upon how many days you're working, and I was usually working at least like 4 days a week. So, and I've done that for like years. So that's what I said. It's like the quantity of readings, the amount of time that you're spending practicing, right? And so there was that. And I was asking, I was asking, I was praying, I was meditating. I still meditate, like, if not every day, like, multiple times a week, and sometimes multiple times a day, because I can, right? Just because I can. So if you are with a group and you have somebody facilitating the group, then that can be better. And if you're not, it's not that you can't, right? But it means that you have to practice more, right? And as far as I'm concerned, meditation is extremely important, because I do not contribute. This is, for me, this is like really, really important. I do not contribute anything that I do to me, right? I am psychic, which means that there is a sixth sense, which means for me that I am connected to spirit, that spirit gives me information. So my job is to be connected. If I want to do this, then I have to be connected to spirit. I do know that there are some people that think that it is all them, right? And if they want to claim that, then, that's what they're doing, right? I can't say that, because I'm aware that spirit is always like right here. And so it's my job to be open, right? You have to be open to receiving the information from spirit. So, that being said, you also have to be aware of how are you receiving information, right? Because there's 5 like senses, right? To hear, to see, to feel, to taste, to hear. I don't know, whatever they are, 5 of them. Hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, 5. And so spirit can use any or all of these senses, and there are some people that just know stuff, right? and which I think that they're not necessarily aware how spirit is giving them information, right? I think that can be more related to clairaudience, because clairaudience is like to hear, right? Clear. The word clair it means clear, right? So clairvoyance is clear vision. Clairaudience is clear hearing. Clairsentience is, I don't know, I think it's like clear feeling or clear knowing something, whatever. I don't know. I've never Googled that. I've never looked that up, and it's always been a weird word for me. Like, so you would think that after this amount of time, I would know what that means, right? Clairsentience. So let's just look it up, okay? Clairsentience. Spell it right. Clairsentience. What is the meaning of the word? Noun. The ability to perceive emotional or psychic energy that is imperceptible to the five senses. To perceive emotional or psychic information, right? So that is about being an empath, which is about feeling, right? It says, I rely on my gifts of empathy, clairsentience, which I think that's the same thing. The ability to perceive, I rely on my gifts of empathy, clairsentience, clairvoyance to tune into clients' vibrations. Yeah, well, that's what I do. Yes, so that's what that means. What is it when someone can feel your energy? An empath. An empath is someone who can sense and feel emotions and energies of other people, animals, and even objects. Because clairsentient people can also sense other people's feelings or empathize, they often likewise tend to be empaths. This isn't really clairsentience. That's funny. To understand clairsentience, we should define psychic energy. Psychic energy is an example of subtle energy. Psychic abilities are subtle powers that are tethered to the metaphysical realm. Well, this is all very clairsentience is one of the four clairs associated with psychic abilities or extrasensory perception, modeled from clairvoyance, which is built off of the French word clair, which means clear. Clairsentience is clear feeling or sensing. That's being an empath. It's the same thing. As far as I'm concerned, to me, it feels like the same thing. Those who are clairsentient are experiencing an awareness of other people's emotional energy through subtle cues like body language, facial expression, tone of voice, and energy. Sometimes so much so that they can feel what the other person is feeling as if it were happening to them. In the West, we would call these extremely deep feelers empaths. So this is interesting because it says that somebody that is clairsentient, those who are clairsentient are experiencing an awareness of other people's emotional energy through subtle cues like body language, facial expression, tone of voice, and energy, right? So that implies that the person is in front of you so that you can see their body language, so that you can see their facial expression, and that, right? However, I do a lot of phone readings, and so I don't see their body language. I don't see their facial expression. I've done like hour-long readings where the person isn't really saying anything, so there's no tone of voice. Um, it is all energy, and if it is the energy of the person, that therefore it is feeling, right? Um, so I feel things on my skin. I feel things in my body. Um, if when I see somebody, it's all over them, right? It's not about like their facial expression. It's not about their body language. It's like they radiate this thing, this energy, right? And and a lot of times when I'm doing readings, even if the person is in front of me, my eyes are closed because I am hearing spirit and I am reaching out my energy to them, the person who I am doing the reading for, or even on the phone. Sometimes my eyes are closed because I channel information. So it has nothing to do with the person's body language, right? And as a matter of fact, I would rather, like, there was this woman who came to see me and she was just like sprawled in the chair. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, sit the fuck up, right? I didn't say that to her, but I really wanted to. And as soon as she came in, there was all of this energy in the room. Um, she was intense. There was so much energy about anger, right? I could feel it coming, right? So I didn't even see this person yet. And I could feel it coming. And I just need to know somebody's name and I can like feel them. So, so it doesn't have to do with their, um, you know, tone of voice or whatever, right? And yeah, so being an empath, I think that being clairsentient is being an empath. So I think that that kind of clears that up. Because sometimes I was thinking that it had to do with like just knowing things, and sometimes I was thinking that it was about feeling things. And so I never really bothered looking it up because it wasn't that important to me. I wasn't having to teach anything about it or anything like that. So I was just doing what I was doing, you know. So there's that. So the best way, if you're doing it by yourself, right? If you're by yourself and wanting to expand your psychic ability, the first thing that I would do is to meditate. And I would meditate at the same time, right? So either every day at the same time or once a week at the same time, right? When I was going to the psychic development group, the woman they was facilitating, it was always Saturday night, and she would channel this entity, and it was trans channeling. She would leave, another spirit would come in, and it was always the same time. So the philosophy behind that is that you are making an appointment with spirit, right? So when you're meditating and you're making an appointment with spirit, then they know that you're going to be there. You know that they're going to be there, and it's like that, right? It's the same thing. Like when I do Reiki, people think that they're coming and making an appointment with me to do Reiki, right? To have a Reiki session with them, and they're not, right? Because the Reiki energy comes through me, right? The same thing. Information, when I'm doing a reading with somebody, the information comes through me, not from me. People say all the time, oh, well, you said this, 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 right? It's like, no, that's not what happened. And because most of the time I don't remember what I said, right? Because, first of all, there's like so many people that I talk to. And second of all, um, the information didn't come from me. Like I channel information, so spirit speaks through me. And when I'm doing Reiki, the energy flows through me. I allow myself to be open, and then that energy comes through, and it gets transferred to the person that I'm doing the Reiki session on. Right? Their job is to be open to receive that energy, and their job is to be open to let go of whatever it is that they're looking for, quote unquote, like healing for, or whatever's bothering them. Their job is to be willing to release that. And when I'm doing a reading, the person that I'm doing the reading for, their job is to be open. Right? The place where I used to work, we used to call it a psychic Pepsi challenge. Right? And it means the person wants to come in, they want to challenge you, they want to, they don't want to say anything. Some people, they don't even want to say their name, whatever, right? And it's like, the more open you are, the better information we can get. And so it doesn't mean, like, I don't want a whole story, right? When I'm doing a reading for somebody, I don't want a whole story about, what's going on and all of that, because then it shows up as like I'm biased about the situation, right? And if you're looking for, like, you can let me know, like, oh, like, first of all, I just, when I'm doing a reading for somebody, I'm like, okay, so what is your name and where do you live? And the reason behind that is, like, if I hear the person's name, then that helps me to tune into them better. And it's not just about their birth name, but how do they introduce themselves to somebody? Right? What name do they go by? Right? Their name could be Elizabeth, but they could go by Becky. Right? So Becky is the name that I want to hear. Right? I want to hear the vibration of that name. And somebody, if one's coming in, right, just as an example, and mainly because mostly it's women that are coming for readings. There are men that are coming, right? So I'm not being sexist or anything. So whoever it is, right? I'm just saying, if there's a woman that comes in and, she is interested in, like, relationship things, and she just so happens to be interested in 3 men named Ted, right? So it is the tone in a way, but it's the vibration of the name. It's like how she feels about the person and her connection with the person. And so what happens is, like, I will hear the person's name and I'm like, okay, Becky and Ted, Becky and Ted, Becky and Ted. This Ted, right? Not like a different Ted. The Ted in question at this particular point in time. So I focus on that, and I ask Spirit to give me information about these people. And so then I get the information about this particular Ted, right? So Ted, where does this Ted live, right? and the other Ted, and where does this Ted live? And Ted, and where does this Ted live? Right. So then I get who the Ted is, right? Like the Ted in this location, and the Ted in that location, and the Ted in that location. So I'm going to look for the person in that area that this person is in connection with, right? So it's not necessarily, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not, because I'm not listening for a tone, right? I do hear the way that the person is saying it, but it's the vibration that I'm like listening for. So it's more like that. So when you are going to practice, right, like I was saying, the first thing that you want to do is to meditate, to set up an appointment with spirit, and meditate at that particular time, right? Because you're building what you're doing is that you're building a relationship with spirit, right? It's because it is about trust, right? You have to trust that spirit is showing up, spirit trust that you're showing up. How committed are you to this thing, right? And when you're meditating, first of all, I would put a white light around myself to protect me, right? Because you don't want just anybody showing up, right? So I would ask that only the highest vibrations show up for this meeting. Who are my guides? They are giving me information today. I'm here to build a relationship with this energy, with my guides of the highest vibration, with my guardian angels, with like whatever it is that you call them, right? And my experience is that they do not require, I've never, well, the first one, like he had a name, and he went by, like, I was calling him Joseph, and but he was really the only one that had a name. And like when I first started this, there were 5 or 6 that were coming through for me, and it was very confusing for me. And because one would want me doing this thing, one wants to work on that, one wants to work on that, one wants to work that. And so I was like, look, like, you people, I refer to all of them as people, like gods, goddesses, spirit guides, and whoever they are, I refer to all of them as people. So I like, look, you people need to come together as one group, one energy. Speak to me with one voice, like choose a leader, and then, speak to me with one voice, because if you don't, I'm going to go crazy. And, I was new to the whole thing. And so I could not handle all of that coming at me at once. I'm looking for a particular card in my tarot deck here. I've been using this deck for, I don't know, over 15, maybe 20 years, something. I don't know. It's very worn. So, yeah. I want to just show you a particular card. La, 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 la. Yeah, that's a way that I de-stress a lot of times. So this card is called, technically it's called success, right? It's related to financial success. However, when this card shows up for me, it represents a boardroom, right? Like, King Arthur's table kind of deal. A boardroom table, and then all of the seats. And so to me, this would represent about spirit, um, all of your guides, all of the person doing the reading for, it would represent all of their guides and how they are out there and chit-chatting about whoever the person is here, and that they would be working behind the scenes for the person's best interest. So it would be whatever the question is. It's like, you know, um, things are going to work out. It's not necessarily just about financial success, but it's like you're here, and then the person, the event that they're looking for is coming down here, and so it's like it's going to take a certain amount of time for things to kind of work out, and whoever your guides are, they're working on that. So so it's that kind of a situation going on. So you want to build like trust with whoever your guides are, but this is also about you building trust with yourself, right? When I do readings for people, I call it like a pipeline, right? And so when I'm receiving the information, it's important for me to say whatever the information is that I'm getting, because if I don't say the first thing that I'm getting, then I'm not going to get the second thing, right? So in the amount of time that I've been practicing doing this, trust has been the primary thing that has been going on, right? Trusting the information that I'm getting, showing up, like all of this stuff, right? And so you can do multiple things like for yourself, right? Working with a tarot deck is not just about knowing what this card means. What does this card mean? What does this card mean? What does this card mean? Right? Like from a textbook, right? Because for me, they can mean different things depending upon what it is that's like showing up, right? So, Queen of Pentacles. Technically, this card represents the sign of Capricorn, right? But is this card representing a woman that is a Capricorn, right? Or is it representing the time period of Capricorn, right? It is Pentacles, therefore, like an earth sign woman, right? Technically, somebody that is older, more mature, maybe somebody over the age of like 30, 40, something, I don't know, whatever it is. There's age groups, right? And like pages, usually there's like pages, knights, queens, kings, right? Pages are usually like female in the deck, but sometimes they're male, depends on the deck that you're using, right? So if I'm getting this, right, it could be, there's only one queen, right? There's only one female. So it could be Capricorn, it could be Taurus, it could be Virgo, right? So it's up to me to sense, to feel, right, as an empath. What does this card feel like, right? And so when I see this card, sometimes it tells me that it's somebody that's passed away. Sometimes it tells me that it's the time period. And so I feel what's happening in this card, right? It's like I check different things, right? So inside, not outwardly, because that could appear crazy to the person that I'm doing the reading for, right? I'm like, okay, like, is this the time period of Capricorn? Is this a person, and is a person somebody that is Capricorn? Is it somebody that's Virgo? Is it like, what are the traits of this person? And so I tune in, I feel, I ask the questions, and I check the vibration for each particular thing, right? If it's somebody that's passed away, as soon as I turn the card over, I'm like, oh, this is somebody that's passed away. And then I go looking, because I do work as a medium, which just started happening one day. So, if it tells me that somebody that's passed away, then I go looking in the spirit realm for somebody that has passed away. And the way that I work is that if I'm looking at somebody, if they're on, like, when I'm looking at them, if they're on the right side, then it usually represents the mother's side of the family. If it's on the left side, then it usually represents the father's side of the family. However, sometimes that works, right? Spirit does what they want to do, right? They don't always follow the rules. Sometimes they're just standing here and I'm getting information, so I can't say, oh, they're on this side or that side, right? I can only tell like what it is that they're saying, right? And and I don't always get names, 30 years, and I've asked, like, for names and whatever, and it's rare. So they're not concerned with the name, right? That's the thing, mostly, mainly, right? Is that Spirit is not really concerned with the name. They are concerned with the information that is being delivered, right? And so that is part of my process. And only right here, right now, in this second, I am getting the information that it is also important for the person who is receiving, the person I'm doing the reading for. It is also important for them, right? The only thing that's important is the information that is coming through, not where the information is coming from. So that's new information for me anyway. And like I said, I channel information. There's nobody here, right, to be listening for a tone or for body language or whatever, right? Just hearing that song, body language, whoever sings that song, whatever. But Spirit is here and they tell me things. So, so that's important. They don't, the person that you're doing the reading for, right? They care about where the information is coming from, right? Because they want to validate, they want to, they want to know that you're not just, talking out of your ass, whatever, to be so politically correct. Whatever. I'm so not in charge some days. And it's not about editing these videos either. So there's all of that. I just go by what Spirit says to me, and I'm not in charge. So yeah, all of that. Todo eso. All of that. I'm learning Spanish, so sometimes that wants to come out of my face too now. So we'll see what goes on. Okay, what's next? So we covered the meditation. So it's important to have protection around you so that you're not inviting in just, when when spirit knows that you do this, right, they will come at you, right? You, they will see the energy, they will see the light around you, in you, and they will want to come through, right? This is one of the big reasons why we meditate. It's one of the big reasons why we are raising our vibration, right? We want to make our aura clearer, right? So it's important to clear your energy. And like, I do know people that get high and um they do readings and stuff. I can't do that. This wasn't I don't know. I don't want to be casting aspersions on anybody. Um, for me, I don't. That would be too weird, because it's like when you're getting high and doing magic or doing readings, I think that it opens portals to other dimensions or other places, and you never know who's going to come through or what's going to come. I think it's dangerous. So I don't do that. It's like the way that I don't know. I can't say that it's the way that I was taught. It's just what I'm comfortable with. It is something that I was taught in terms of, clearing houses, because that's one of the things that I do, is I clear houses of, whatever kind of spirits that are there. And so there's that. Um, so for me, it's like you want to protect your energy so that you're not getting this like weird random stuff around. And according to the what do you call them, the church there, I forget what you call them, but there's the spiritualist church. They do not deliver messages from spirit unless there is validation, unless you can describe somebody, um, unless you can validate who the person is, either the age or a name or what their connection is and stuff like that, right? And so I do try to follow that. If there is a spirit that is coming through and the person that I'm doing the reading for does not recognize them, then I just like let that go, because we're not here to spend an hour trying to figure out who it is that's coming through, because the person that I'm doing the reading for, they may not know who that person is. Sometimes I'm doing a reading for somebody, and for example, I was doing a reading for this girl, and she was looking for her grandfather, and this man, it was an hour reading, and so we were doing this reading, and this man was giving me this information about her, what was going on, etc., etc. And so then we were done, and I was like, so you're not Jewish, right? It's like, what does it even mean? And like, what does a Jewish person look like? Like, I don't know. I just, so the point of this is that the man that was giving me the information, he was clearly Jewish, because he owned a Jewish deli. He was standing in the deli. I could see him in the deli. He was standing like in front of the counter, and it was all of that. So I knew that he was Jewish, and somehow psychically I knew that this woman was not. And so I was like, so you're not Jewish, right? And she's like, no. And I was like, so do you know if your grandfather knew a man who had a Jewish deli? And she's like, yeah, he was like, so and so, whatever. And I'm like, well, because he's the one who was giving me the information. So somehow or another, her grandfather was not able to come through. And that's what happens is that, sometimes the person who wants to deliver the information cannot come through for whatever reason. It can be anything, 10 different reasons, right? 9 days to Sunday, as I said, whatever. And so sometimes a friend of theirs will come through, or another relative will come through for them, and maybe it's a relative that you don't know about, third cousin or something, whatever, great grandmother or whoever, or great grandfather, great uncle, somebody that died at 15, and whoever, right? Like, but the point is that this person that you're doing the reading for doesn't know whoever that is, right? So a lot of times when I'm doing readings for somebody, I do not talk about who the person is that is giving me the information. I don't describe who the person is that is giving me the information. The only time that I am usually giving information about where I'm getting the information is if I am actually doing a mediumship reading. Otherwise, I'm only concerned that the information is real. And I can tell that I know that the information is real because Spirit is telling me this, because I am seeing it, I feel it in my bones, as they say. And so when that is going on, right, as opposed to if you're looking at cards and you're saying, okay, let's just pull 3 cards, right? So we have the Ace of Cups. We have the, oddly enough, Ace of Swords. We have the 3 of... This is... I just randomly pulled these, right? And that's why I'm laughing, because it is so on point, right? Ace of Cups, new emotions. Ace of Swords, new ideas. 3 of Pentacles can be different things, right? It can be classes, training programs, which is what we're talking about, right? It can represent like mind, body, and spirit, right? It can represent negotiations sometimes. It can represent contracts sometimes, right? So in this particular case, we're talking about classes, training programs, things like that, and how you would receive new ideas and new emotions, right? And one of the things that this is talking about here, the work is about balancing your head and your heart, right? Your emotions and your mind. So that's interesting. So I'm just laughing because, like, I swear that I did not have these cards just like sitting there. It is just Spirit's way of coming through and saying, this is what's happening. And I was so thrown. I didn't even know what the cards were until I started like showing them to you. And I'm so thrown by this, the hilarity of the whole thing, that I don't even remember what I was saying. And so anyway, it is about practicing, right? And because that is how, where are you? That's how you learn, right? And yeah. So when you're looking, I know I was talking about the person coming through. I was talking about the Jewish guy in the deli, and I was talking about the woman. Oh, and I was talking about, just the only thing that's important is that the information that comes through is accurate. And oh, I know what I was saying. Like when you're reading cards, right? It's like you can look at the cards and sometimes they don't make sense, right? It's like, how is this working out, right? And it's like, because sometimes I'll feel like this card is saying this thing, this card is saying this thing, this card is saying this thing. In that particular example, it was very clear what was being said, right? But you know, um, so let's see here. Maybe we can find something else. Okay, so these I did try to pull for just some sort of thing, right? It's like you have the Queen of Swords, so it's like, who is the Queen of Swords, right? Like, we don't really know who the Queen of Swords is, right? In particular, we don't know who she is. Like, if I get told that this is someone that's passed away, then I'll go looking for them, right? But the Queen of Swords could be Libra, it could be Aquarius, it could be a Gemini woman, right? Or it could be a gay man, right? Because the cards will show up as an energy, right? So if it's a gay man and the gay man is more feminine, because there are gay men who are masculine energy, right? So they will show up as men, right? And but the Queen of Swords is somebody who is very clear about what it is that they're doing and what it is that they're saying and what their objective is, right? So there is this woman sitting here, and the Seven of Pentacles, to me, in this deck, it's called like fear of failure. So, well, it's specifically called like failure. So, but it's more, to me, it's more about fear of failure. It is about the structure of your life changing somehow or another. It can be some sort of like a growth cycle that's trying to happen, right? So it can be like a few different things that are trying to happen here, right? And then you have the Two of Pentacles, which is usually juggling things, right? Usually it's about juggling money and finances because it is Pentacles, right? But it is also ruled by Jupiter. So again, this to me looks like it looks like something, it looks like whoever this woman is trying to expand. She's trying to grow somehow or another, but there is this fear of failure that is getting in the way, right? But maybe this person is not the one that I'm doing the reading for, right? So I don't know who these people are, and I'm not always clear what the situation is and how it is relating to the person that is sitting here, right? My job is to just say, this is what it is that's showing up in your reading, right? And sometimes I know who it is, and sometimes I don't know who it is, right? And usually if I focus on it enough, I will know. Or I will feel my way around the person's life. Because this is about money and finances, so I will feel my way around the person and how they're making their money and what's happening with them financially. And then I can say, well, this is what this feels like to me, right? But ultimately, it is up to the person that you're doing the reading for to know what that is. Because the other thing that is important is that the information isn't for me, right? The information is for the person that you're doing the reading for. So that's another thing. And so you don't have to know who this person is, right? The one that you're doing the reading for, like, they should be, it's like their life, right? So if this information is coming up for them, then it is up to them to know what it is about. Right? So, and maybe it's not happening right now, right? Because people aren't always about like, oh, what's happening now in my job, right? It's like what's coming down the road. And so this situation is presenting itself, right? So, um, then then they should just take notes, right? I always suggest people take notes or record things because mostly I talk fast and people can come back and listen to the information later at some point or whatever. And apparently there's going to be a lot of changes going on. It's 55 minutes and 55 seconds into the video right now. So a lot of changes happening. And so even those three cards that I pulled, the Three of Pentacles, Ace of Swords, Ace of Cups, right? In this particular instance, it is about learning, psychic ability, and balance about the head and the heart, right? But if it's not that, right, then it could be some other kind of like learning thing, right? Or Ace of Cups can also be related to like a new house too, or it could be a new vacation, right? It's something new emotionally. The Ace of Swords is something new idea wise. And for me, the Ace of Cups can be the next water sign coming up, right? Like right now, where are we at? We're in Aries going into Taurus, something. So the next water sign would put us into the sign of Cancer. The next air sign would put us into Gemini. So it could be referencing one of those time periods, right? And so you have to kind of, that's what I'm saying. It's like you have to kind of like feel your way through the situation, right? And that's how I read. So, what is it that makes sense in your spirit, right? When you're talking about the cards, when you're looking at them, what is it that makes sense to you, like in your spirit, right? What feels like the most settled, right? Because as an empath, if somebody is saying something to me and it's not true, I can hear it as a lie, right? And the person can be thinking that they are telling me the truth, right? They can think that. That doesn't mean that it is the truth, right? They can just think that it's the truth. However, even though they think that they're saying the truth to me, it can still feel like a lie, right? So, they can be saying, oh, well, this person said this, and so I think this is true, right? However, it doesn't make it true. So you kind of have to kind of like feel it if you are clairaudient or if you're empathic, whatever sense it is that you are receiving information from, it has to kind of make sense to you in that way. So we are just about at an hour. It's 59 minutes, 25 seconds. So I will leave you with that. And hopefully this is something that will get you started on your path and, practice. Practice when the phone is ringing, feel who it is that's calling, feel whatever it is about, feel about what you're getting in the mail today, or if you are or nothing, something. Okay, practice. So, yeah. Anyway, good luck with all of that. Okay, ciao.